Hello and welcome back to the Nine Sports Podcast. My name is Kathleen and I host the weekly soccer edition of our show. We have lots of news to talk about today, including two big NWSL trades. One sent Claire Hutton from Kansas City to Bay FC, and the other brought fellow midfielder Croix Bethune to Kansas City from the Washington Spirit. And although it's early in the preseason, we do have results from the Coachella Valley Invitational as well. Several NWSL teams competed out there this week in exhibition games. And then this morning, Emma Hayes also announced the U.S. Women's National Team roster for the upcoming SheBelieves Cup. And then later this week, we'll see who she invited to the U23 camp. Our number one story at the Nine this week, our top story of the week, goes to Claire Hutton and Croix Bethune. Both got $1 million+ transfer fees in the NWSL, where we are seeing those numbers just become normal. And I love that, especially for these two really young stars who just look like they have so much potential. And not only are these two national team talents, they're two top players in the league. And at least to me, I feel like both moves really came as a surprise. They both were on rosters really loaded with talent. Obviously, Croix slots in pretty well for Claire in Kansas City. Claire makes the move out to Bay. Both of these opportunities come with brand new coaches who are joining the game. We have Chris Armas in Kansas City, who has most recently coached on the MLS side, and then Emma Coates taking over in Bay FC. We haven't talked much about her, but she previously served as England's U23 coach. So I think that makes a lot of sense from a developmental standpoint, which both of these players said they're really looking forward to kind of taking on that next challenge in their career and growing their game, both on and off the field. Let's hear from Croix first on why she chose Kansas City.
I'm excited to be here. Of course, just a little tired because, the traveling and everything. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reasons that went into my decision of joining the Current, but a big one would be the staff, the girls, wanting to be on a high-level development page in all aspects. And Casey's just the place for that. The facilities, from being very professional, the developmental, I feel like the way that they want to play fits my styling play, but also I can merge into this team very, very well. And of course the players, I mean, this is who I'm going to be playing with, and I want to be around the best. I want to be supported. I want to improve my playing as well as help my teammates get better, and also get to know them off the field as players. Those are three key aspects as to why I chose the Kansas City Current.
Kansas City will be a really interesting situation this year. Obviously, they have Armas, but they do have Vlatko Andonovski, who does have two NWSL titles from his time with FC Kansas City. Staying in the mix, he has moved on to sporting director, but you would imagine that he'll still have a lot of say in the style that these teams plays as he helps build that roster, as he helps kind of guide the sporting direction of this team, I guess. And then when we go over to Coates, again, a lot of interest in that kind of developmental side. And I think that Claire is such a phenomenal young talent. She's become, clearly a player that Emma Hayes trusts a lot, both on and off the pitch in that kind of leadership role, giving her the armband back in December. But it'll be really interesting, I think, to see where Claire kind of progresses her game from here, because she has become such a reliable playmaker and just a really fun player to watch. So let's hear from her.
I think one of the biggest things is the ambition that this club has, and for me, top to bottom, this club aligned with my values, and what I want to achieve as well on and off the field. So just to be in such an amazing area, the Bay Area, with the support it has for sports, not even just soccer, but other opportunities as well, is something that attracted me. And I think it's going to push me in many different ways to be a better person, a better player, hopefully a better leader, and just to be able to show up for my team each and every day.
And Emma has spoken highly about your potential. For you, what specific aspects of kind of her coaching approach or her system were most appealing to you?
I think for me, the biggest thing is how she wants to empower us as players to make decisions and have a creative outlet on the field. If you hear her talk, she talks a lot about giving us the power to make decisions, and she wants to be able to provide us with knowledge and ways of playing, whether it be different ways in the midfield, playing with double pivot, single pivot, playing in a box, and on the fly changing how we're playing, the taxes that we're using against the teams to be unreadable. So I'm excited for that, and just to give power to me and my teammates to just continue pushing our limits and creating such a dynasty, hopefully, in this league.
And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but Claire was named to that U.S. Women's National Team roster again this morning for the SheBelieves Cup. Emma Hayes said that Croix was considered as well, but with the move, she's had more limited practice time and wasn't quite ready for selection. A lot of eyes will be on both of these players this year, especially as the first few weeks move along with their new squads. And I feel like one of the words we're kind of developing as a theme of this show is autonomy. And I think these are two great examples, I hope, that we're able to look back on of players getting comfortable in this league, showing their potential, and then being able to kind of shop around and find that team that really fits them, fits the style that they want to play, and fits just where they are in their careers. And I think that's going to be something really interesting to watch as we continue having players move in and out of this league. Lots of rumors around Kat Macario right now, especially as we kind of bring in these additional teams. And we continue to bring in coaches from other leagues, international coaches. I'm really hoping that we are able to, or the NWSL is able to offer just all of those kind of unique fits for these athletes as they are building their careers under this new free agency structure. Abigail Stiegel did a great job writing about this for the Nine Soccer last week. You can find her article on the9sports.com, THEIXSPORTS.com, under the soccer label, and then the Nine Soccer. Not to tease you too much, but we do have a pretty exciting web redesign coming up. And I think you're just going to love this new format that we are bringing to you. I say that as executive editor who has a little bit of a sneak peek, but I think it's going to be more accessible. You're going to find more of our content in one place. And I think it also just looks really, really sharp. So I'm excited to share that with you soon. Bay FC and the Kansas City Current were among the teams that returned to the pitch this weekend for the Coachella Valley Invitational. That event has been really fascinating. It features both NWSL and MLS teams playing exhibition games, scheduled for around 3 weeks. I think it started February 7th and then goes through this weekend. It's just a nice opportunity to kick off the season. They've had fans there. They've had some other events, it looks like, organized around the soccer. And I'm grateful that they elected to stream at least some of the games too for fans, kind of craving that early sneak peek, especially as we've had so much movement in this off season. The Current tied the Wave 1-0. Bay beat Houston 2-1. Angel City beat Portland 2-1. And then in maybe the most interesting result of the weekend, Denver actually beat Utah. So the expansion Denver squad bringing some heat in early. And then this weekend, they will finish up with Houston against Portland, San Diego against Denver, and Angel City versus Seattle. So please definitely send me your thoughts, what you have liked, what you're nervous about with your team, and any other thoughts. I'd love to hear from somebody maybe who even was in Coachella Valley for the event, what you thought of just the event as a whole, whether you're a fan of men's and women's soccer or just went out there to see a little NWSL action. Now over to the national team. Let's start with the 26-player roster that Emma named. That is expanded from 23 a year ago, and she will have the ability to rotate those rosters in and out. And if you know Emma, you know she loves to rotate. Abigail Siegel, again, wrote about this today as soon as that dropped. The average caps per player on this roster is 30.4. Which is obviously higher than we've been lately. This is the first roster we've seen, I think, in a year that we haven't had any uncapped players. But then, as Abigail wrote, without Lindsay Heaps, Rose Lavelle, and Emily Sonnet, that number decreases to 17 average caps. Lindsay Heaps leads the group at 170, Rose Lavelle 116, and Emily Sonnet 113. Some of the big notable players missing: Michelle Cooper, still out with that foot injury; Kat Macario dealing with a heel injury that has kept her out for Chelsea. And then, as I said, Croix was not ready, and Emily Sams, it sounds like, is not quite ready either. They bring in 3 goalkeepers, Dickie McGlynn and Tulis Joyce. And that's a particularly young team when we're kind of looking at this roster. Dickie is the most capped at 7. So not a lot of experience at this point. And Tulis Joyce was not available for selection for last camp, being one of those players playing internationally. But she's been so dominant with Manchester United during their run this year that it'll be interesting to see how Emma continues to kind of use this group and test them out. I'm looking at McGlynn as probably a decisive third, just because Dickie has gotten so many minutes lately for the team, and then Tulis Joyce playing just at such a high level with her club. We'll kind of see how this shakes out, but I really like that trio there. And obviously the U.S. In their recent run of form has looked really good, has had a lot of shutouts, which gives credit to the defense as well, but also to these really young keepers who have jumped right in and played up to kind of that defensive standard that we know Emma has set for the team. 9 defenders: Bug, Fox, Gurma, Real, Rudd, Sonnet, Giselle Thompson, Wesley, and Weisner. My first comment about this group: Sonnet believes. That is my maybe favorite part of this tournament. I still don't understand the name. I don't know who she is. I don't know what she believes, but I know that Sonnet believes, and I cannot wait to see Sonnet in another t-shirt created by her teammates. That is one of my favorite things about this tournament. So really hoping we get another one of those moments this year. And if you are not familiar with that lore, definitely go look it up. It is a lot of fun. This will be Sonnet's 10th SheBelieves Cup tournament. She's won it 7 times, and she will be honored before the opener on February 20th. Well-deserved honor there. And the other important note here in that defender group is that Rudd is the married name for Tara McCown. So if that did not sound familiar when I read it off, always something new and exciting on this team. In addition to all the new players Emma likes to bring on, we had lots of players get married the last couple of years, so it's been a constant challenge. But we are obviously thrilled for them taking that next step for their personal lives. 8 midfielders: Coffey, Heaps, Hutton, Jackson, Lavelle, Moultrie, Shaw, and Johannes. Another really young group here, but I'm really excited to see how Hutton, Moultrie, Shaw, Johannes all play together, how they kind of continue finding their footing with this team. Obviously, Lavelle is in phenomenal form, winning the NWSL title, scoring in that December window. Sounds like Lindsay Heaps has been doing well. We're excited to have her back in the NWSL. Sam Coffey is just kind of that consistent player that I feel like you can always look toward. And then 6 forwards, Darlene, Joseph, Rodman, Sears, Sentner, and Alyssa Thompson. So both Thompson sisters get in. Jamise Joseph is back. Trinity Rodman is back as we expected for another camp after doing so well last camp. So again, as Abigail wrote, this is probably closer to what we're looking at for, international competition next year. I think over the year, we'll have Emma continue to kind of narrow down this group or find, probably more consistent starters, at least out of that group. We are, of course, waiting for a few big names to rejoin that group. The few injured players that I mentioned before, as well as Sophia Smith and Mallory Swanson, who are both kind of taking their time coming back from maternity leave. Emma did speak on both of them today, said that Sophia Smith has returned to practice with Portland and is looking good, but Portland said she has not been cleared yet. And then, as we discussed last week, it sounds like Mallory Swanson is taking a slightly slower path back. She is a couple months behind Sophia in just the general timeline, so not unexpected there. But it does sound like Emma is definitely looking forward to getting them back together, knows that the fans are definitely looking to see that group together as well after a really fun World Cup run with them last time. That group will play 3 round-robin games with doubleheaders in Nashville, Columbus, Ohio, and Harrison, New Jersey. And they'll face Argentina, Canada, and Colombia. So that seems like a really good group to kind of test where they are right now before those big matchups with Japan later this spring. But 3 exciting places to play as well. As a Midwestern gal, I love seeing them come through the Midwest. And then, I think ending in Harrison will be a really nice kind of lead in to the season. I know that I can tell you we will have a couple people from the 9 Sports out there covering the games in Columbus, Ohio, and the Harrison, New Jersey game. Just bringing you the excitement, showing you that behind the scenes that you are probably really craving from this group as we watch them continue to kind of gel on and off the field. And we talked about it a little bit last week, but the second leg of the UWCL playoffs will take place this week. Arsenal leads OH Leuven, Wolfsburg, and Juventus drew. Real Madrid beat Paris FC, and then Manchester United shut out Atletico Madrid. Winners of this 2-leg series will advance to play Lyon, Barcelona, Bayern, and Chelsea. So look for those quarterfinals in late March. But again, those games will be this weekend and should just continue a really exciting Champions League season where we have a ton of Americans playing, a lot of people to keep an eye on that we even just mentioned in that U.S. Women's National Team group that will be going to SheBelieves. So definitely tune in there and let me know what you think of that too. If you'd like to have us cover more Champions League, let me know. Obviously, being in the U.S., a lot of our focus is on the NWSL, but we are happy to report wherever you want us reporting. One last thing I want to recommend is Annie Peterson's Soccer Monday story about Lo LaBonta, the Kansas City captain. I have covered her for a long time, dating back to the FC Casey days, but she just brings so much joy to her play on and off the pitch. She's a phenomenal leader. You can tell these players really, really enjoy playing with her. She even gets the coaches in on her jokes. And, we've all come to enjoy our Sully Queen, I think. I don't know that anybody other than maybe Trin has a better catalog of celebrations at this point. And maybe Trin gets some extra points getting Emma Hayes to dance with her as well. But Annie got to sit down and talk to Lo out at Media Days about being on the national team roster, what it's meant to her representing the country, her kind of longer journey to get there. She is the oldest player that has earned a cap at 32. Again, in the words of Annie, God forbid you're in your 30s in this sport. But again, just a great representative of this league, a great person to root for, and I really hope you enjoy that one from Annie. And that is it for me this week. Stay tuned for the hockey episode, which will surely talk about the U.S. competing in the gold medal match later this week. If you have not been watching Olympic women's hockey, it is so much fun, and the U.S. is just dominant. They have looked so good. And they really look like they're enjoying it. One storyline I'm especially invested in is Layla Edwards has been both the first Black woman to represent the U.S. on that team and the first to score at the Olympics. So we love to see that and are definitely rooting for her. Then later in the week, we'll also have our basketball show where we are still holding out hope for a CBA and a WNBA season, but we are thoroughly enjoying our off-season leagues in Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited. So always a lot of fun with Howard and Jackie on that show. Also, make sure you check out Women's Sports Daily. That is your 5-minute roundup of all the biggest headlines in women's sports. And as a reminder, that is on a separate feed, but you should be able to find Women's Sports Daily wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon.